Hello everyone and welcome to the 15th video in our Create a Survival Game series done by Brackeys. I am the CEO of Brackeys, and today we are going to be taking a look at advanced AI. So scripting more advanced enemy functionality. It's gonna be awesome and it's gonna be difficult. So if this is too much for you at any point, you can always just go ahead and download the script from our website, or simply go with the AI simple version, which is also available for download and which I have made a video on earlier. But that's it for the intro. As always, I have opened up Unity, and let me just quickly clean up from the last tutorial I did, which was actually not titled as a part of this series. It was more like a standalone video where I showed how to create a gun and create some shooting mechanics, and there we made this script, this raycast shooting. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drag that under the scripts, and this bullet hit, which was a particle with some sparks emitting, and I'm just gonna drag that under the prefabs. Except that nothing has changed. If we go under the player, the main camera, the melee, you can see that there is now a gun object, which is just an empty game object with the raycast shooting script. So that's pretty much it. Now let's go ahead and get started. So select the enemy, which I have dragged over to the town so we can test some stuff with him without having to run a whole lot. Let's go ahead and disable the AI symbol. I'll just keep it for now. And let's hit the add component and new script and call this, you could do AI, you could do advanced AI. I'm gonna type advanced AI. So advanced AI, it's gonna be a type JavaScript as always, and there we go. One thing to keep in mind though, with the script, we are not gonna be using the capsule collider. We are gonna be using some more advanced movement where we can apply gravity and some forces so that our enemy will actually be able to fall to the ground, fall down different places, and collide with walls and such instead of just going through them. So we'll disable the capsule collider by right-clicking, remove component, and hit the add component button, go to physics, and now change it to the character controller. This gives us a whole lot more different possibilities and settings and scripting functionality that we can play around with. Now let's go ahead and actually create the advanced AI script. And the way I want to do this is simply use what we made in the last tutorial with the simple AI and modify it a bit. So let's go ahead and double click the advanced AI to open it up in MonoDevelop, and there it is. And we can just go ahead in under the simple AI under the scripts folder and open that as well. There it is. And let's just go ahead for now and copy all of this over to our advanced AI and delete the pragma strict. And so now they look also very similar. And alright, let's go ahead and adding some stuff. Now, first of all, I want to create a bunch of variables, because currently we have it set up so whenever our object chases something, it is done in the function called attack. I would want to change this name to chase. And so also when we called it in the if distance, we want this to be chase. And we are going to change the name of this attack range to chase range. And add yet another variable up here called chase range, which is going to be 15. And the attack range is now going to be a whole lot less. We could try something like 1.5. Because our melee distance is about 1.5, that's what I have set it up to be. And so that's it for changing the chase range, just to make it everything a little more clear. Now we can go ahead and add some more stuff. Let's add a actual attack function. So function attack, the parentheses, and so we just type that in there, and then in a second we'll add some logic too. But first I want to change how the enemy actually behaves and moves, because at the moment the enemy behaves through a transform position. So it simply draws a line and moves in the direction of that line, and that line will always point towards the player. But that doesn't enable stuff like collision and gravity. So we actually want to use the built-in function in the character controller to take care of the movement. So this is done by making some new variables. So let's make a new variable, and let's call this, let's call this the controller. So let's just call the controller, and it's gonna be a type character controller, like that. And let's also make another variable called gravity. Just making some space, variable gravity. And so gravity. And let's set this to a type float. And it's going to be equal to, by default, I would say 20 is a very good amount. So just type 20. Then we are going to make a private variable called move direction. Move direction. And it's going to be a type vector3. And it's going to be equal to vector3 equals vector3 dot 0. So this is simply a 3D coordinate, and it's just gonna be 0, 0, 0. And we have the gravity. It's pretty much self-explanatory, and the variable controller is just so we can actually call the movement through the controllers. Look, let's go ahead into Unity and see the controller now appearing. And what you're going to do here is you're simply going to grab this component and drag it under the character controller. Also, let's remember to assign the player to a target. And these two things can always be done through scripting in the start function, for example, or if you have the player spawning during the game, you can have a function assigning the two variables using the GameObject.find and the getComponent. So let's go ahead and open up the script again, and let's now start implementing some stuff. So under the chase, let me see, where do we have it? There. Under our chase, we now want to write some different things. So first of all, I would like the renderer.material.color to go down under the actual chase function. So I'll just quickly move that down here. I just like it better that way. Oops. And delete these spaces. And we could go ahead and do the same with the look distance. I don't know. Here the look at. We'll just move that under the actual look at function. So, and in the chase here, it's this line we want to change. Because as you can see, it is translating. It is moving in the forward position with a certain speed. And we want this to be done through the character controller, and I won't explain exactly how it works, but just know that you can create realistic movement this way. So let's type move direction equals transform.forward. New line, move direction times equals move speed. And new section, move direction. Actually, I'll also make a section between the renderer and the move direction stuff. Move direction.y minus equals gravity times time dot delta time. And if you can't remember, time dot delta time simply handles the time scaling and frame rate problems that you might have. And right below this line, we're gonna write controller, the variable storing the controller dot move in the move direction times time dot delta time. Alright, so this pretty much takes care of the new movement functionality. Let's take a look at what's actually happening here. So first off, we want the move direction to be equal to the forward movement. So we want the direction that it should move to be forward. Then we want the move speed to influence the move direction so that we can tell it how fast it should move. Then we want the move direction dot y, meaning the up and down, to be influenced by the gravity variable. And then at last we want to actually move the controller. So let's go into our game and see if this works. So I've opened up Unity here. And let's go ahead and hit play. And you can see the character the character is now looking at us, and indeed it starts moving once we get close enough. And I don't know if you can see this, but it actually stays on the ground. And we should also be able to show that it collides with walls. So if I drag it on into the town and hit play, it actually stops on the other side of the wall. So that's it for making it collide and move more realistically. Now we have a few more things to add, because we also want this to attack, and we want it to rotate a bit different. Maybe, no, we'll save that for another tutorial. For now, we just want to create the attacking also. So to do this, let's create some functionality in the attack function. And let's also make sure that the attack function is being called. Let's first make sure that it's being called. So here under the if distance is less than the chase range, then it should chase. I want to create a new if statement right above that. So if distance is less than attack range, then we want it to open up the brackets, attack, so called the attack function. Now, if I just do it like this, then our enemy won't actually stop whenever it's attacking. So now, if I hit play, it will just keep on chasing me, and it can bug out in the positioning and push me, which is not something we want, even though it's trying to attack me. So we want it to stop in a somewhat fair range and then start attacking. And if I then get out of its attack range, we want it to start chasing again. And this is done by making this if statement into an else if. So this if statement says if the distance is like less than attack range, so if the enemy is able to attack, then it should attack. But then it should also stop chasing. So if that is not the case, else. So if these requirements isn't met, then we want it to check if the distance is under the chase range and then chases. So if we do it this way and hit play, even though we don't have any logic inside of our attack function, once it gets inside of that range, it stops. And we can easily increase the range by going into our enemy, by selecting our enemy and going under the advanced AI script and taking the attack range and bumping it up. So let's say, let's try out with a 3. And wait, it maximized the wrong window. There we go. So now it should actually attack, and there you go. In a distance of 3 units, it stops. So let's just change that back to 1.5 and make some attack functionality. So go under the function attack, and inside of this we want to do quite a few things. We want to type the debug.log attack. And the debug.log is useful for many things. I like to use it for bug fixing if I am not sure what is being called, or for just simply telling myself that I need to place some logic here. So for now we won't actually be scripting the damaging of the player and the dying of the player, but we will be scripting everything except that. So we will be making everything that handles when the player should lose damage and maybe even how much, but we won't be scripting what actually happens. So this could be, I could name this insert attack here. So that could be an animation or some other logic. So let's see what actually happens here. A debug.log will be shown inside of the console window. So when I hit play and the enemy goes near and starts attacking, you can see a whole lot of debug.logs start appear inside of the console window. And this is of course way too much. As is, the enemy is attacking us every frame. So that's really not what we want. We want it to be attacking with a interval of about 1 to 2 seconds. So let's script that. Now this can be a little hard to understand, but let's start out by making some variables in the top. So under the damping, we want to type var attack repeat time equals 1. Make some more space. Private var attack time. It's gonna be a type float. I'm gonna explain all of this in 1 second. Now let's just write it out. Another variable called attack now is gonna be equal to true. And you could make this private. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, so I just got interrupted, but we'll continue where we left off. I'm sorry about this. One thing I noticed is that we don't actually need the attack now, since we are calling the attack through a function and not an if statement. So we'll just leave that, or we'll just delete that. And let me go ahead and quickly explain what these two variables are going to do for us. The variable attack repeat time is the amount of seconds that will pass by between every attack. So the enemy hits us, and the attack repeat time is the interval between every hit. the private var attack time is gonna store the time.time, and time.time can be a little difficult to understand, but let's just quickly go ahead and store it. So function start, we want to store it in the start function because time.time cannot be stored inside of the variable declaration. We have to do this when the game actually starts. So we're going to type function start, and inside of the function start we're going to type attack time equals time.time and a semicolon. Alright, so this will help us in counting out the interval. So now let's go down to the function attack and actually create the code. So in the function attack we are going to type if time.time is greater than attack time and open up the brackets. We want the debug log statement to be inside of these brackets, like that. And under the attacking itself, under the insert attack here, we want to type attack time equals time.time plus attack repeat time. Attack repeat time. And so what we are doing here is we are basically checking if we can attack again using the current time and the which we are storing in a variable, and then adding up with the attack repeat time, which is the intervals. So that's basically it for the spacing out of the attacking. So let's go ahead and try to hit play. Go under the console so we can see what happens. So our enemy gets near, it attacks, and you can slowly see the different attack logs start appearing in the console, just like they should. So this variable can of course be tweaked inside of the enemy, so you can just go ahead and increase or reduce the attack repeat time depending on which kind of weapon the enemy is wielding and how strong he is and different factors. So that's it for that. Now let's go back into the script because I want to create one more thing to make our enemy a little more realistic. And this is a function that simply makes it so that whenever we hit the enemy gets more mad at us and therefore will chase us longer, will move faster because now he's running after us, he's furious, and also he will look more after us, so the look at distance will also be increased. And because we have already made a system where we send out a function or send out a message to whatever we hit that the function apply damage should be called, we can just make a function called apply damage and open up the brackets, and inside of here write whatever we want to happen when the enemy gets hit. And in this case I want the chase range to be increased by 30. I also want the move speed to be increased by 2. And I want the look at distance to be increased by 40. And therefore, whenever we go into Unity again and hit play and select our enemy in the hierarchy and take a look at the right hand side at the different variables here, so we hit play, you can see that right now the look at distance is at 25, the chase range is at 15, and the move speed is at 5. When I hit it, everything goes up, and now it's harder to escape the rage of the enemy. So that is it for the advanced part of this AI tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. And I know that some things I did not explain all the way through, but that's because this is mostly a beginner's tutorial, and therefore I don't expect you to understand everything at the moment. But there you go, now you have some pretty damn decent enemy AI, which you can implement into pretty much any game of this type. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.